Hey everybody, it's Emily from Marg Schooling, and today I'm going to do a book haul. So I haven't bought that many books, I don't think. Well, not as many as compared to other hauls I've done, but I did buy some books over the last month and a half-ish, so I thought I'd just show you what I have. First 4 books I'm going to show you are books that I bought specifically for grade 10 for Build Your Library as I'm working on that, and I'll start with the one I'm reading right now, which is Mother of the Believers by Kamran Pasha. I was looking for a book that would kind of bring to life the beginnings of Islam, and there's a couple that sounded interesting, but this one had the best reviews, so that's the one I bought, and so far I'm actually really enjoying it. It's really interesting to read about, and it's told from the perspective of Aisha, who was Muhammad's favorite wife, basically, and she was very young. I guess there's some controversy as to how old she actually was. We knew she was young, but there's some discrepancies, I guess, as to how young. But he took the more outrageous idea that she was 9 when she married him, which is so just, it pulls, like, I can't, like, my brain can't handle that information. That's a year older than my youngest daughter, who is so not marriageable. You know, it's just like, it's hard to wrap my brain around the fact that she was so young. But she tells the story through her perspective and over the course of her life, and she's telling her story to her nephew, who, while she's on her deathbed, I believe, and so she's going back through her life and telling about the experiences that she had as the mother of believers. And it's really well told, I think. It reads really easily, and there's just a lot of information. So I'm really liking it. I think it'll be a good fit in grade 10. I also picked up the Canterbury Tales. I don't really need to talk a lot about this, but I just realized the only copy I had was a children's retelling, so I went ahead and picked up a copy of The Real Thing, because that is going to be in grade 10. And I got 2 history books, one of which is actually going to end up being in grade 11, because once I sat down and planned it all out, I'm like, yeah, no, that's not going to fit. And that's 1453, The Holy War for Constantinople and the Clash of Islam in the West. I think this will just fit better at the beginning of the year for grade 11, because by the time I've gotten everything laid out, there's no more room. And so it didn't fit, and I was sad because I thought this book sounded fascinating. I know it still is worth reading, so I'm going to try to work it into grade 11. I also picked up 1066, The Year of the Conquest, and I was super pleased to see how small this book is. After all the huge books I've been reading, it's like, finally, a nice, small, easy-to-digest book. I am kind of obsessed with this time period. I just think it's really interesting. When my husband, he's really into genealogy, and he was able to trace back a relative who fought with William the Conqueror and came over with the Normans, and so that was kind of cool. He was excited to be a Viking. So it just kind of made it more interesting. But this book basically tells a story from both sides, so you get to see what the English perspective of this was, because it's often more about the Normans and how they made England better and all of that. But what about the English, and how did they react to this, and what was England like before the Norman invasion? So this book should cover all of that. I'm going to be reading it really soon, and I'm excited to. I also picked up The Valiant by Leslie Livingston. I honestly cannot remember if I already hauled this or not. I sat there and stared at it for about 5 minutes. I'm like, maybe I did? So if I've already hauled it, here it is again. And if not, then I'm showing it to you now. And I picked this up because I heard Reagan at Peruse Project talking about it, and it sounded interesting, and it was Rome and gladiators, and about a female gladiator, and I thought probably my daughter would enjoy it, so I went ahead and picked up a copy. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I think it's going to be a fun read. For my birthday, I got myself 2 books. I decided to treat myself to some graphic novels that I'd been eyeing for a while. The first one I picked up was Nimona by Noelle Stevenson, and this I like because it's a standalone fantasy, and you don't see that a lot. So this is about two supervillains, which already just speaks to me, and it's their story, and I don't really know a whole lot going into it, but I've been eyeing it for a while, and the illustrations are really cute, and I've heard lots of good things. I also picked this up. It's My Friend Dahmer by Derf Backderf, and honestly, this is kind of morbid, but I like morbid things sometimes. No, I really like to read weird, creepy books, and so this just sounded interesting. This is a book told from Jeffrey Dahmer's high school friend, and it's sort of like, what was Jeffrey Dahmer like as a teenager, and why didn't anyone notice the seriously messed up stuff that was going on with this kid? They could have stopped him, but nobody really paid attention until it was too late. And it's all in black and white drawings. And yeah, so I'll be getting to that sometime soon. The rest of the books I got are for children. I picked up the Zoe and Sassafras series for my youngest. I got all 3 books for her. We read the first one. I bought it for her birthday, Dragons and Marshmallows, and she loved it, so I grabbed the other 2. And we're reading the second book, Monsters and Mold, right now, and I really like these. We'll probably do another review when we finish them. They're about a little girl named Zoe and her cat Sassafras, and they help magical creatures who come to their house in need of help, and she uses the scientific method to figure out what's wrong with them, and she bases her experiments on animals that they are similar to. And so it's real science but mixed with some fantasy, and it's just really fun, and my daughter really likes them, and they read aloud really nicely for being early chapter books, because sometimes they're, you know, beginner chapter books just read really stilted and they're just not fun to read aloud, but these read aloud really nicely, so we really like them. And these are also, I don't think I said, they're by Asia Citro, so I highly recommend picking these up. I also picked up these 2 books for my kids. We're going to do a unit over the summer, I think, on character traits and character building. So I picked up, they're called What Do You Stand For? This one's for kids, and it's, I think, like up to age 11 or 12 or so. And it's just like a workbooky type program that you can go through, and it gives you stories to talk about for each character trait. The one for teens is a little more in depth. It covers a few more traits and has more stories and surveys and quizzes and things, and I think it'll appeal to my teens. And they're both told, I believe, from a secular standpoint, so I don't think, I've flipped through them a couple times and I haven't seen anything religious, so that's kind of nice. I'm thinking about filling these out with some picture books and chapter books and novels, and I don't know, we'll see what happens, but I have big ideas that I don't know if I have the time to put into action, but anyway, we're going to be using these over the summer because I thought it would be kind of fun. And that is all the books that I bought in the last month and a half-ish. So did you get any new books lately? I'd love to hear about it. Share down below in the comments and we can chat. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Happy reading. Bye!